Oh, hey, so today I'm gonna be doing a Karrie Hero review. Karrie is a marksman that specializes in her burst through damage, and you usually pay her in the gold lane. But occasionally I do pick her as a jungle hero, but it's not recommended. So the same idea as before, we're gonna rate Karrie based on her attributes, her mobility, sustainability, blah blah. And we're gonna see where Karrie sits in the meta now. And to help you understand the system a bit better, I did make a table, but don't ask me why it looks bad. It looks bad because I made it, okay? So the first point that I'm gonna be talking about is her mobility. I think that Karrie has good mobility. Her second skill is a dash skill, and it also has a short cooldown. Her ulti also gives her movement speed boost. And when you're using Karrie in team fights, you're usually always moving around. So yeah, Karrie's mobility is decent. So if I'm gonna rate Karrie based on her mobility wise, I'd say Karrie is a 8 out of 10. So for my next point, I'm gonna be talking about Karrie's sustainability. And I only have one issue with this problem. See, Karrie's build is very versatile, so you can actually build sustain items, but her attack range is so small that you end up sometimes overextending and you pay for it. But I won't go as far as to say that Karrie's sustainability is bad. It's just not great. And so if we're gonna rate Karrie on her sustainability, I'd say she's a 7 out of 10. Now, on to my third point, we're going to be talking about Karrie's cooldown. And I have never had an issue with Karrie's cooldown on her skills. Karrie's cooldown is so good that you always feel like you have a skill for you to spend. And this is good since when you're using this hero, you always have to reposition yourself in team fights. The only skill that I feel has a long enough cooldown is her first skill. So if you're going to rate Karrie on her cooldown wise, I'd say this hero is a 8 out of 10. Okay, now that we just talked about cooldown, let's talk about Karrie's poking. When it comes to the laning phase, I feel like Karrie has more than enough cooldown to poke and harass enemies with her first and second skill. But is it poking to the point that enemies go back to their base? Not really. So I guess Karrie can poke, but she doesn't really poke. You get me? So if you're gonna rate Karrie based on her poking ability, I'd say it's a 6 out of 10. Okay, so on to my next point, we're gonna be talking about Karrie's farming speed. Yes, I think Karrie can farm really fast. With her passive, she can easily take down jungle monsters, and her first skill also helps her clear minion waves really fast. So if you're gonna rate Karrie based on her farming speed, I would say she's a 9 out of 10. She's really very good when it comes to clearing lanes and taking jungle minions. Okay, now for the next point, I'm gonna be talking about team fight potential. So how good is Karrie when it comes to team fighting? So now Karrie, although being a marksman, she has very close range. So the minute she overextends, it's easy for you to punish her. But Karrie in team fights can deal huge burst damage to frontliners, granted that you know how to position yourself. So how good is Karrie in a team fight? I say she's an 8 out of 10. She also has a lot of mobility for her to dash around, so it's hard to actually catch and punish her. So as long as you don't overextend like I did, you'll be fine. So for my next point, and this is where I feel Karrie really excels, is burst damage. So Karrie is a hero that does true damage with her passive, and she can easily burst down any hero, as tanky as they are, as long as Karrie has good enough attack speed. So if you're gonna rate Karrie based on her burst damage, I say she's a 10 out of 10. There's no other damage that beats true damage. And next, we're gonna be looking at Karrie's versatility. So Karrie is a hero that can be played in the gold lane, also in the jungle. And Karrie's build is also very flexible. You can opt to go for full attack speed. You can also build semi-tank with Karrie, or you can also build full tank. Karrie's main damage comes from her passive. So with that, you see that Karrie is a very flexible pick. Personally, I feel like if you're gonna go for full tank or full damage builds, it's too much. You should probably just build semi, since that's the sweet spot. But although I do think that Karrie is still a very versatile hero, and when it comes to versatility, I'll give Karrie a 9 out of 10. Now for my final 2 points, firstly I'm gonna be talking about Karrie's early game. So how good is Karrie during the early game phase? So point to note that Karrie is still a marksman, so her early game damage is not as good, because you see Karrie's main damage comes from her passive, and during the early game you don't really have that much of attack speed to proc her passive that much. She still does do true damage, it's just not as frequent. So to rate Karrie on her early game, I say she's a 5 out of 10. She's just average. But her late game is good. Once you have good enough attack speed, Karrie becomes the team's damage dealer. She's so good in her late game that you would actually just casually melt the enemy team. So to rate Karrie on her late game potential, I'd say that she's a 9 out of 10. And that concludes this review. So as you can see, Karrie got 79 points, which means that she's actually just 1 point away from tier S. Karrie is such a good marksman and one of my favorite picks. With that, I want to say thank you for watching this video until the end. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like if you didn't. And I'll see you boys and girls in the next video that I put out. Ciao.